So generally, we know that conductors allow electricity to flow through them. So similarly, what is the difference between conductors and superconductors? Superconductors allow electricity to flow through them without offering any electrical resistance. So such kind of conductors are nothing but superconductors. So certain metals and alloys exhibit almost zero resistivity when they are cooled to sufficiently low temperatures. So whenever certain metals or alloys which are made by the combination of different metals, so are cooled to very low temperatures, so they are going to exhibit almost zero resistivity. That means they are not going to offer any resistance for the opposition of flow of current. So in such case, the conductivity will become infinite. That means very large. So this kind of process, so where the resistivity is zero and conductivity is infinite, so is generally known as superconductivity. So this effect of superconductivity is offered by the materials. So those are known as superconductors. So we have these kind of superconductors. Those are aluminum, tin, lead, mercury, and etc. So these offer zero resistance to the flow of current. So generally, when it was discovered, so it was superconductivity was discovered in 1911 by Heike Kamerlingh Onnes. So who was studying the resistance of solid mercury, so at cryogenic temperatures. So that range of temperatures is very low. So this is between minus 150 degrees Celsius to minus 270 degrees Celsius. So which is in very less than absolute 0 Kelvin temperature. So here he studied the properties of solid mercury. So whenever he cooled mercury at cryogenic temperatures using liquid helium as refrigerant, so here this liquid helium is used to cool down the mercury. So then he observed that so the mercury has lost its resistivity at certain temperature. So at the temperature of 4.2 Kelvin, so he observed that the resistance suddenly disappeared. So then it offered superconducting properties. So in subsequent decades, later on, so superconductivity was found in several other materials as well. So not only in the mercury, so it is discovered in other materials also. So here the temperature at which the resistivity of a superconductor goes to zero, so is generally known as critical temperature or transition temperature. So that means below this temperature, the material is going to behave as superconductor, and above this temperature, so it is in normal state, that is going to increase. So but whenever in superconducting state, so when this temperature is reduced at the temperature known as transition temperature, that means when such materials are cooled to very low temperatures, so the resistance completely disappears. So and they enter in superconducting state, which allow current to pass through them endlessly, which is known as supercurrent. So here in the right side, we have several metals and their transition temperatures at which they can behave as superconductors. So aluminum behaves as a superconductor, so at the transition temperature 1.2 Kelvin, and tin 3.7 Kelvin. So mercury behaves as a superconductor at 4.2 Kelvin, and niobium will behave as superconductor, so at 9.3 Kelvin. So niobium along with the tin, so which is nothing but alloy, so it behaves as a superconductor at 17.9 Kelvin. So titanium, barium, copper oxide, so it will behave as superconductor, so at very large temperature, transition temperature 125 Kelvin. So this is generally known as high transition temperature superconductor. So we will discuss about high transition temperature superconductor. So later. So coming to the properties of these superconductors. So these have zero electrical resistance. That means their resistivity is zero. So they offer zero resistance. Since the resistance is zero and resistivity is zero, so they offer infinite conductivity. And generally, the superconductivity is a low temperature phenomenon. So it generally takes place in most of the materials at low temperatures. That is below absolute 0 Kelvin temperature. And this transition temperature is different for different substances. So as we have seen for these different materials, so for each and every material, the transition temperature is different. So materials generally which have normal resistivities in larger values exhibit superconductivity. So generally the materials which have the resistivity in the range of mega ohms meter, so etc. So will behave like superconductors when they are cooled to lower temperatures. And superconductivity is very sharp in case of pure and structurally perfect specimen material. So when the material is pure and if it doesn't contain any kind of impurities in them, so then the superconductivity is very large. So this is generally applicable for type 1 superconductors, so which are pure in their material structure. And ferromagnetic and antiferromagnetic materials do not exhibit superconductive conductive properties. So why? Because they need to allow magnetic lines of force to pass through them. So that is why they should not behave as superconductors. So as it contradicts the effects of magnetism. So and below the transition temperature, so the magnetic lines of force are generally rejected out of the superconductors. So this effect is generally known as Meissner effect. So at the transition temperature and below the transition temperature, so the materials will behave like diamagnetic materials and they reject the magnetic lines of force to pass through them. So coming to the Meissner effect. So here, when a superconductor is cooled below the critical temperature, so it expels the magnetic field and doesn't allow the magnetic field to penetrate inside. So this phenomenon in superconductors is generally known as Meissner effect. So that you can observe in this diagram. Generally, the superconductors in their normal state, that means when the temperature is greater than transition temperature, so they allow magnetic lines of force to pass through them. So they behave like normal conductors. So but whenever the conductors are cooled below the transition temperature, that means when the temperature is less than critical temperature Tc, so then they don't allow magnetic lines of force to pass through them. So they reject magnetic lines of force to pass through them. So this effect is known as Meissner effect. So that means at critical temperatures, they are going to behave like diamagnetic materials. So under the normal state of the conductors, the magnetic induction inside any kind of a specimen is given by the expression. So B equal to mu naught into H plus I. So here mu naught is the permeability of the space and H is the applied magnetic field and I is the magnetization produced for the applicable magnetic field. So but in case of Meissner effect, the materials will behave like diamagnetic materials. So that is why here they reject all the magnetic lines of force to pass through them. That means when pi is 0, so B is also going to be 0, which is nothing but the magnetic field which depends on the magnetic flux lines. So 0 equal to mu naught into H plus I. So H equal to minus I. So here we know the magnetic susceptibility is nothing but the ratio of intensity produced in the material to the applied magnetic field. So here we are going to obtain the magnetic susceptibility value as -1. So which is the case for diamagnetic materials. So that means the degree to which a material can be magnetized is generally explained with the help of magnetic susceptibility. So when the materials are in superconducting state, so they will behave like diamagnetic materials and they completely reject the magnetic lines of force to pass through them. So this is known as Meissner effect. And based on the response of magnetic lines of force through the superconductors, so we have two categories. So those are nothing but type 1 superconductors and type 2 superconductors. So coming to type 1 superconductors, so the superconductors which follow complete Meissner effect, so are generally known as type 1 superconductors or soft superconductors. So if you look at this diagram, in the first diagram, so we have the behavior of type 1 superconductors. So when the magnetic field is increasing from initial value to the critical field value, which is given by the letter Hc. So they don't allow the magnetic lines of force below the critical field. So that means the materials are in superconducting state and they behave like perfectly diamagnetic materials. But if we keep on increasing the magnetic field beyond the critical field Hc, so then superconductivity will disappear and the materials will come back to the normal state where they allow magnetic lines of force through them. So this kind of superconductors are generally known as type 1 superconductors or soft superconductors. So the examples for type 1 superconductors are aluminum, zinc, hydrogen, etc. Next, coming to type 2 superconductors. So these do not follow the complete Meissner effect. So such kind of superconductors are known as type 2 superconductors or hot superconductors. So in this next figure, we have the behavior of type 2 superconductors. So here till the critical field Hc1, which is generally known as lower critical magnetic field, these conductors, type 2 superconductors, are in superconducting state. And after, if we keep on increasing the magnetic field beyond Hc1, so they allow magnetic flux lines to pass through them. So that is why between the field values Hc1 and Hc2, the type 2 superconductors are in mixed state. Okay, so where they neither behave as superconductors or nor behave like normal conductors. So this region is generally known as vertex region. And if we keep on increasing the magnetic field beyond Hc2, so then these type of conductors will come back to normal state. So here these do not follow the complete Meissner effect. So that is why these are known as type 2 superconductors or hard superconductors. So examples for hard superconductors are zirconium and niobium. So next, coming to BCS theory. So here BCS represent three different scientists. So because it was put forward by three different scientists, so BCS theory of superconductors was given by Buddy, Cooper and Schrieffer in 1957, and hence it is named after them as BCS theory. So here this theory is able to explain the effects of zero resistivity, Meissner effect and isotopic effect, so which are related to superconducting properties. So here Buddy, Cooper and Schrieffer attributed that, so they explained that the cause of superconductivity is due to the pair of electrons formed inside the material. So due to the interaction between two electrons, via exchange of phonon. So this is nothing but electron phonon and electron interaction, so which is attractive and bind two electrons together, forming a pair of known as Cooper pair. So generally inside the crystal, so when electron is moving in certain path, so when it is near to the lattice ion, so which is nothing but the positive charge, so in such case this negative charge of electron is generally attracted by the positive lattice ions. So in such case, due to that attractive force, there is a change in the shape of the crystal. So that means it causes the deformation in the crystal. And whenever any electron, the second electron traveling in the same path of the first electron with same momentum reaches the crystal lattice. So due to the interaction of these two electrons, which are traveling in the same path, so due to this interaction, there may be a exchange of virtual phonon, so which is nothing but the vibrational form of energy. So due to this exchange of phonon, generally these electrons have same charge. They should repel with each other. But due to this exchange of phonon, the electrons may get partially positive charge and they become attractive. So due to this attractive force, these two electrons that are interacting by the exchange of virtual phonon will form a pair. So which pair is known as Cooper pair. So and these travel inside the lattice crystal, so without losing their energy. That means they are bound by the attractive force and travel in the form of Cooper pair. So and generally these vectors of interaction between two electrons generally given by the values. So k1 dash equal to k1 minus q and k2 dash equal to k2 plus q. So whenever they exchange certain kind of vibrational energy between them, so these will have these propagation vectors. Successfully explain the superconducting properties of materials, so which are happen due to the formation of Cooper pairs, so which are traveling so inside the crystal lattice without losing their energy by the collisions, so due to their binding force between these two electron pairs. So coming to Josephson effect, so when two superconductors are joined by a thin insulating layer, so then it is easier for the electron pairs, so which are nothing but Cooper pairs, to pass from one superconductor to another superconductor without any resistance. So this effect is generally known as Josephson effect. So due to this, there may be a constant current flows inside the material, so which is generally known as DC Josephson current. So this process is shown in this diagram. So in the first figure, so we have two superconductors. Those are joined by thin insulated materials. Generally, insulators do not allow electric current to pass through them. But when two superconductors are joined by the thin insulator, so these Cooper pairs, so which are present in these superconductors, are able to penetrate through this insulator layer and cross the junction, and they reach the other side of the junction in the next part of the superconductor. So while they are traveling like this, there may be a phase change, phase difference offered by the Cooper pairs to the other side of the junction. So due to this, we will have a constant current, tunneling current, so which is given by the equation I equal to I naught sin phi naught. So here phi naught is the phase difference introduced by the Cooper pairs in the opposite sides of a junction. Next, coming to AC Josephson effect. So in DC Josephson effect, though we do not apply any external voltage, so there is a chance of flowing of current. So here we are going to apply a standard potential difference V0. So in this case, an additional phase shift is introduced by the Cooper pairs during tunneling across the junction. So this additional phase change delta phi at any time can be calculated with the help of quantum mechanics. So as using the equation I equal to I naught into sine phi naught plus 2e v naught t by h. So whenever two superconductors are joined by thin insulated material, according to DC Josephson effect, so the current, these Cooper pairs cross the junction and are responsible for constant flow of current. So whenever this junction is applied with standard potential V0, so then there is additional phase shift delta phi will result in the net tunneling current. So this behavior can be seen with the help of this graph. So whenever there is no voltage applied across the junction, that means V0 equals 0. So there is constant current flow. So that is nothing but DC current, IC. Okay. So whenever voltage is applied across the junction, so below certain critical voltage VC, so we have still constant current flows. And after, whenever the voltage V0 is greater than critical voltage VC, so the resultant current will have oscillations, so which oscillates with frequency, angular frequency omega. So that means here after VC, so when the voltage is increased beyond VC, so the material will have certain resistance. So the current oscillates with respect to angular frequency omega. So now coming to the concept of high temperature. So till now the superconductors will behave like superconductors at very less temperatures. Okay, so below 0 Kelvin temperatures. But according to VCS theory, so as the temperature of the solid increases, so the collisions of electrons to the lattice ions, so will result in the loss of superconductivity at higher temperatures. In addition to this, the superconducting properties of many substances are destroyed by large electrical currents as well as even large magnetic fields and make them useless for applications for power cables or high field magnets. So generally, whenever current, supercurrent is passing through superconductors, so it will create its own magnetic field. So due to that process, the superconductivity properties may destroy due to this large electrical current flowing through them. And similarly, whenever these superconductors are kept inside stronger magnetic fields, they may lose their superconducting properties. So the general dependence of the critical field upon the temperature is generally given by the expression Hc of T equal to Hc of 0 into 1 minus T by Tc whole square. So here in this graph we can see the behavior of superconductors whenever temperature is increased as a result of applied magnetic field. So at lower magnetic fields and lower temperatures, the materials will behave like superconductors. But once we start applying higher magnetic fields, so the temperature will increase, and due to that the superconductors will lose their superconducting properties, and beyond the temperature Tc they will come back to normal state. And one more thing is, in order to make the conductors behave as superconductors, we require very expensive refrigerants such as liquid helium. So So its cost is very high. So because of all these limitations, scientists continue to search for materials that exhibit superconductivity at higher temperatures. That the temperatures are greater than 77 Kelvin. So this is the general temperature of liquid nitrogen. So the cheap or least expensive cryogenic liquid. So with the help of liquid nitrogen, we are going to cool down the superconductors. So the cost of this liquid nitrogen is very less. So generally materials that show zero resistance above 30 Kelvin, so are generally known as high temperature superconductors. That means these can sustain very large temperatures and these can sustain very high magnetic fields. So though temperature increases beyond certain range, so they can behave like superconductors, and they can behave like superconductors even if we increase the magnetic field. So such kind of conductors are generally known as high temperature superconductors. So because of these properties of high temperature superconductors, so we have many applications of high temperature superconductors. So because they can withstand larger amounts of currents as well as high magnetic fields. So the examples of high temperature superconductors are yttrium, barium, copper oxide, hydrogen sulfide, and etc. So finally coming to the applications of superconductors, since the zero resistivity and infinite conductivity of superconductors, so we can use them in the transmission of electricity. So generally high temperature superconductors are used in superconducting cables which are helpful for the lossless transmission of electricity. So generally the loss of electricity may happen due to the electrical resistance offered by the material. So because of zero resistance offered by the superconductors, we can use superconductors in lossless transmission of electricity, so that we can save most amount of the generated electricity while transmitting to the required regions. And niobium, titanium superconducting magnets are most commonly used in magnetic resonance imaging. So here it is used in medical field. So in MRI scan, the body is exposed to very high magnetic field. So as we know that the body is filled with water, so in the water hydrogen molecules, hydrogen atoms are present. So these hydrogen atoms pick up the energy that is given by the superconducting magnetic field, and after absorbing that energy, these release energy in certain frequency. So that energy is recorded over computer and the image is displayed in case of magnetic resonance imaging. And similarly, these superconductors are used in maglev trains, so which are super fast trains. So maglev trains basically work on the superconducting magnetic leviation phenomenon. That means in this process we are going to make trains to float on the tracks. So generally, due to the friction that is present between the tracks and the train, so we have less speeds in the trains. But if the train doesn't access the track, so then we can increase the speed of trains. So in magnetic leviation, so we have two superconducting magnets that are made by high temperature superconductors. So one magnet repel the train without touching the track, and another magnet push the train to move in the forward direction. So this is nothing but magnetic leviation. That means without touching the track, the train can travel with high speeds. And these can be used in squid magnetometers, which are generally used for the detection of landmines. So here superconducting quantum interference device. So is used in magnetometers. So it is going to explain the simple changes in the Earth's magnetic field, and it is generally used in the direction of land mines, so that are kept under the ground. So all these are different applications of superconductors.